Good afternoon, folks. It is September the 20th. I've done a piece on how to dispense with our naivety. Um, this came about as a result of noticing that Trudeau must go was trending the other day as the top tweet from Canada. This is the Philosophy for Philistines channel, also known as Politics for Plebeians, with your host Bill Reimer. So let's get on to dispensing with our naivety. Before we even begin to look at what constitutes naive beliefs, we must first agree on using language which may accurately define them. It is the it of a thing which is under attack today. Due to the postmodernism of Derrida and Foucault, a form of literary criticism is now widely accepted which places value on what we name a thing as opposed to what it actually is. This is what I refer to as the it of a thing. Postmodernists are renaming reality based upon how they subjectively feel about it, which is why transitioning to the opposite sex has gained so much attention to the point where governments, federally and provincially, allow for self-identification on official documents apart from our physical reality and our chromosomes. This constitutes the thinking of a 4-year-old who defines himself as a pirate one minute and a superhero the next, or a little girl of similar age who may role play being a doctor at one moment, then being the patient the next, or even a backhoe operator if she happens to be a male lesbian, like me. Do you see how I snuck that in? Of course, when children do this, we find it charming and play along. But when adults do it, it indicates a delusional detachment from reality. In such games, we must refuse to play. Don't let us forget that the causes of human actions are usually immeasurably more complex and varied than our subsequent explanations of them. Fyodor Dostoevsky from The Idiot, and also from Dostoevsky, or rather also a quote about Dostoevsky by Friedrich Nietzsche. Dostoevsky is the only psychologist from whom I've anything to learn. The truth is often a terrible bitter pill to swallow, but the hideous lies which invariably hide in the shadows of its absence are far more insidious. So let us forge ahead and clarify how we can identify the nature of our government, stripped of all its false moralizing and promises of a future sustainable and equitable world. A world absent of the personal autonomy, workable energy policies, and economic prosperity which would allow us to focus on more than just putting food on the table and keeping a roof over our heads. After all, it is the most prosperous societies which invariably care for the environment most effectively, while providing maximum opportunity for the dispossessed. It is better to be unhappy and know the worst than to be happy in a fool's paradise. Again, from Fyodor Dostoevsky, from his famous work, The Idiot. Secular man has an odd idea about religious concepts such as idolatry, in large part due to the fact we fail to appreciate the incredible metaphorical significance of the Bible. It is most likely that we think that idolatry refers to creating a graven image of something which is falsely divine, and then worshiping that physical image. But let's take a closer look at the metaphor. To do evil, a human being must first of all believe that he is doing good. Ideology, that's what gives devil doing its long-sought justification, and gives the evildoer the necessary steadfastness and determination. That is the social theory which helped to make his acts seem good instead of bad in his own eyes and others' eyes. so that he won't hear reproaches and curses, but will receive praise and honors. That's from Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Is it not idolatry to create a system which denies the divine nature of man by subjugating him to slavery so false that it literally manifests itself as the opposite of what the name socialism implies? Socialism does not create a socially connected and fulfilled society for the very reason that it denies man his divine freedom. The highest pursuit of man is to know and grow in divine awareness of God. Socialism replaces God with an all-powerful, idolatrous state. It posits the collective good as the highest ontological achievement while denying the autonomy of the individual. No society can care for the many if it fails to recognize the rights of the individual. This is an uniterable game which must be forced upon us, since the game itself isn't played by choice. And the game played by choice invariably outperforms any game played under coercion. So, how far along the road to tyranny has our government traveled? Let us compare the following characteristics which are inherent to the major branches of social collectivism to our own system of governance. Fascism, Nazism, democratic socialism, and communism are all based upon identity politics. All use some perverse version of victim versus victimizer narrative. All have state-controlled economies and/or state-owned industries. All feature some measure of central economic planning. All have state-run and funded health care. All use state-run education and media to control the officially sanctioned narrative in order to create cultural conformity. All silence political dissent, both covertly and overtly. All are enemies of individuality and personal autonomy. All will attempt to mischaracterize and or ruin you if you expose the lies upon which these toxic political ideologies are founded. The central theme to all of these variants of social collectivism is the belief that life is a zero-sum game, where power is the dominant motivating factor in human interactions. Since they all share this delusion, it is unsurprising they all share a pathological need for control. I implore you to let this comparison to where we are today serve as a warning. If you believe in personal autonomy, the solution to tyranny resides in you. Indeed, in each of us, to refuse to participate in the lies that these systems require for them to exist. Refuse to fan the flames of narcissistic supply social collectivism requires to enslave the minds of your fellows. The great Twitter irony is that a platform which so lends itself to ridicule and the ridiculous, a place where aspersions are so easily cast, and valid arguments so readily played, that despite this, #trudeaumustgo was trending #1 in Canadian content the other day, after the neo-Marxist leader of ours was recorded drunkenly singing Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen at a karaoke bar in London while there for Her Majesty's funeral. Trudeau is a tone-deaf, narcissistic clown who is completely out of touch with the it of a thing. Mr. Trudeau, Canadians aren't about to consult some yet-to-be-written postmodern dictionary which can define the level of your sheer narcissistic hubris and the vitriolic contempt that you so obviously hold for those you were elected to serve. #Trudeau must go indeed. And I am hopeful that my fellow Canadians are no longer willing to worship at the idol of statism. Trudeau's failing big government policies have, as social collectivist experiments always do, have had the opposite result of his much lauded claims of creating utopia. Claims which have gone up in the smoke of inflation, fiduciary malfeasance, unworkable energy policies, printing money out of thin air while simultaneously demanding we use impossible pronouns which ignore the it of a thing. Trudeau, your it is up. So those are my thoughts today, things you might consider and pray about. Don't be an idolater. The proof is already evident. This whole government is collapsing under the weight of its own corruption and lies. Have a great day.